Hello guys, I'm going to show you how to set up a restaurant in IncoPOS. First, we're going to create a new database. I'm going to go to File, Change Database, and I'll create something, for example, bar1. I'll select blank database. This will create us a brand new empty database, and we're going to set it up from 0. Here, we're going to select a restaurant as a type of business. Then we click Next. I'll select Other as a country. But if you see your country in the list here, you can select it. So this way, you're gonna have customized settings for your country. Here's the name of the workstation. We're gonna save the settings as a record with this workstation, and we're gonna name it here. I'm just gonna leave that name as it is, but you can choose your computer name or yourself to identify it if you have multiple workstation in the restaurant. This way, if something happens to the machine and you have to reinstall it, you can immediately load the settings using that name. Here for taxes, I'm going to choose to have VAT. We're going to select that business is VAT registered with VAT rate of 20. Then we're going to show the prices with VAT. Then we click Next, and that's the first part is ready. Now what we're going to see here is the setup cards. These let you configure things that are relevant for that type of business. So first thing is the locations. In restaurant or bars, you usually have multiple tables. So I'm going to click on it, and we're going to choose either single room restaurant or multiple. Usually, in most cases, people use single room restaurants, so we can enter the number of tables here, and the system will automatically create those tables for us. They're gonna be named like this. I'll say 15 or 16. You can adjust it. If you want, you can edit the names here, or you can just leave them like this, and you can edit them later. With multi-room restaurant, you can select how many rooms you have and how many tables each one has. But I'll leave it for now as a single room restaurant. Click Setup, and this card disappeared. Usually you have a few customers that you want to have in the restaurant. I'll just add 3. These customers can be used if you have multiple bills on the same table. So you can have one of the bill to customer 1, another one to customer 2. So up to 3 is perfectly fine. See, when that card is set up, it disappears and others appear, which can let you configure the system. For example, the users. You can have multiple users, and it's usually a good idea to have different for the different people who work on the system, the waiters and so on. The first one that you're going to choose and create is the owner. It's always the owner. You don't have another option here. I'll just write owner. And you can set a password. I'll just delete it for now with no password. Save it. Now we can add a waiter. Now you can choose different access level. I'll just say waiter 1, and I'll add password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Choosing numbers is good because this way you can use the touchscreen interface for login, and touchscreen interfaces are usually used in restaurants because they require less space on the desk. You don't need keyboards. They're not that comfortable for such kind of businesses. I'll just use these two for now. I'll close it. Now, in restaurants, you usually have devices and you can connect them if they're connected to this machine. You can choose, for example, a cash receipt printer, and you can choose some of those that we have already supported. If it's some generic type, in some countries you don't need to have a physical device. You can have one of those IncoPOS printers that are receipt printers. But in places like Bulgaria and other countries where you have fiscal laws, you need to have a physical device to register each sale if you're getting money with cash or card. So you can use some of those devices here. We have a lot of them. And this is how you add them. You just configure them, the connection parameters. You can test if you have that device connected here. I don't have it, so no need to test it or try to connect it. So just click cancel. The same way you can configure the rest of the hardware, like kitchen printers, external displays, if you have such electronic scales, if you have such in restaurants and bars, you don't have. You can have a card reader, which are connected to the serial port to other card readers that are just emulating keyboards. You don't need to add them as a peripheral device. I'll just close this. If you don't want to see that card anymore, you can just press the X and it will get hidden. Now, the startup screen, you can choose what you want by default. Usually, you want to have something like the touch screen for a restaurant. You can close it. Payments, you may handle payments like from a terminal, bank terminal, and here are the currently supported ones that we have. We're constantly adding more, and you can choose any of these, for example, sum up and so on. You can connect them to some of the payment types. So when you want to finish a sale and you select that payment type, in this case card, this payment processor will be invoked, and then it will automatically ask for the card on that external payment processor. I'll just close this for now. Items, you can import them, or you can enter information about your company here. These are the last things that you want to do. So, one thing that I mentioned is the login screen. In the settings here, you can choose one of those which are more convenient, usually for this kind of business, dark or light. I'll save it. And now when I log out, you'll see this screen. Here you can log in directly. The owner has no password. The other waiter has password. You can log in, and what you see now is the touchscreen interface. This happened because we set it up as a startup page and we configured some tables. Now you automatically see that interface. When you click on the table, you get to this part. Here you can add items. We don't have items configured at the beginning, but you can click here and choose any of those different types of buttons that you can add. The first one is, of course, item, but you can add buttons for end of day reports, groups, payment buttons, and returns, keypad. You can customize that screen as you like. I'll just show you how to do a few of those things. For example, if I add an item, I'll add just cocktail, and I'll give it some price like 10. Save it, press OK, and it will be added here. I can change the color by pressing this button, and I can make it, for example, orange, and it will change the background. If you want, you can change the image. You can make the button bigger or smaller. Smaller, not in this case, but You can make it bigger and resize it like this so it takes more space. You can move the button, or you can remove it. I'll remove the top one and I'll move this one up. Now, if you want to change the size of that grid, because by default it's like 5 by 6, which is usually enough to fit your items here. You can fit easily 30 items or groups and items. You can change the grid here, and you can, for example, reduce the height, which will make less space for buttons, but the buttons themselves will get bigger. So you can adjust it from here, from the Edit Grid tab. The order view, you can choose how wide that area can be, or when you add something here, you can choose what the font size will be. Depending on the screen you're using, you may want to increase the font or decrease it and fit more data. It's up to you. So once you add something to your order, you can press order and it will be printed on the kitchen printers if you have them, and the order will be saved here. You have that indication here and you can press on it and see that you have that item added to the order, and later on you can finish it and select how the client wants to pay, in cash, or you can choose card if you want. And if it's in cash, you can also add another amount, and this will calculate the change for you. And of course it will be printed on the physical receipt if you have a cash receipt printer. Once you save it, then this order is gone. Now, this screen is accessible from here, from the touch screen. Operations, Sale, touch screen. Normally, you don't need to change anything, but if you want to add it to the touch screen, so to the toolbar, so if you close it, you can easily open it. You can modify the toolbar too. From here, from View, Customize Toolbar. Here you can choose anything from the menu. And for example, grab the touch screen, which is in Operations, Cell, touch screen, and you can put it in the toolbar here with dragging. And now you can see it immediately show up in the toolbar. If I press OK, it's saved and you can open it from here. For restaurants and bars, the main things that we have are the locations. We have automatically created them using the setup card, but you can edit them from here. You see that we have a restaurant. This one is main location. It automatically got created because the setup card created it. You can change the name of that location if you want, but the idea is that it's a main location. And if you have document numbering by location, this instructs the system that these tables are actually a sub-location of the restaurant and they shouldn't get their own sale numbers range. So if you have a few databases that are sharing information and you want to assign document number ranges to each location, so you can distinguish them and they don't have collisions if you have two restaurants, for example, in one place and another, and they can have their own document numbers. This setup with sublocations tells that if you have something, an order or something on that location, they shouldn't get assigned these tables. They shouldn't have document number range assigned, but the restaurant should. Also, the setup in the screen, the touch screen, automatically created these tables, but you can see that there's back to main here, and here we have the restaurant, which is a group. And what this instructs the system is that anything that's ordered in these locations here get finished in the restaurant. So the restaurant is the main place where inventory is counted and where it's actually purchased and sold out from in the system. So when you have reports here, you can see the reports for sales, for example, and when you check it, you'll see that the location is actually the restaurant. And this is the location which got subtracted the amount and the availability from. You have 3 cocktails from here. Now, this reminds me that one important thing that restaurants use is recipes. You can have recipes in the cocktail, and the easiest way to do it is to edit the item, and here you have a recipe, and you can create something here as ingredients. When you double click, you get again that screen, and you can add another item, let's say vodka, save it, and you add quantity, which is actually that was wrong. I'll edit it. The vodka shouldn't be at pieces as a measurement unit. It should be, for example, at liters. So when I select it, I can see that this cocktail has 0.02, for example, as vodka. And then we'll add something else like Coca-Cola, and then it will tell it that it's liters too. Save it, double click to select it, and we'll say that this one has 0. like 100, for example. When we save it, this one now becomes the list of items. We sell the cocktail, but we have a recipe how to create it from vodka and Coca-Cola. Now you see the quantity became -3 because we never purchased, never delivered any quantity here for that cocktail. But we have 2 items that actually created. If we go to settings and enable one thing called auto production, you can enable it. This instructs the system that if you have an item that has a recipe and you don't have enough of it, the system should create it from the ingredients. And now if I go to touchscreen, select any of the rooms, the tables, choose one cocktail, for example, and finish it directly. That sale. What you're gonna see is that the items here, the cocktail got 0, but because we had to create the 3 cocktails that were missing and the one that we just sold, it's 4, the system calculated that it has to produce them now using the recipe that we have. So these ingredients became -4 and -0.8. This is something useful for the restaurants. And of course, to bring in some availability and to purchase stuff, this is the way to do it. You select where that availability comes from. You have to choose some delivery company or somebody who is bringing you stuff. I'll just choose default vendor to have something here. Choose it, bring it in the restaurant, and we'll bring some vodka and Coca-Cola. For example, 10 liters, 10 liters. I'll select the purchase price because they're not going to be free for me. I'll choose like 30 and this is going to be 2. And we're going to sell it for something. If we don't put any price, then we'll get this notification, which is not a big problem because we're not going to sell it directly, but it protects us for items that are directly sold, not to sell them under the purchase price. And if we say, do you want to continue? I'll say no. And then I can put some price here. For example, for the vodka 40, I'll just add some sample prices. And then I'll save it. F9 saves it. If you press it or directly the button, I'll say that it's paid. I will not print a receipt. And now if you go to the items, you can see that the quantity got adjusted. I added 10, so it became a little less than 10 now because we used some of it. And this is the actual availability right now. Now in the touch screen, we have also a few options here. We can get quick reports about what happened today. You can see the sales, and this can bring you some information quickly. If you have a printer, receipt printer, you can print this information there. And you can select which dates you wanna use. There are many options other that you can adjust the screen, but these are the most important ones. If you have a kitchen, you can use the other important screen that's here. That's the kitchen display. It lets you show orders on a touchscreen display in the kitchen instead of printing receipts there. I'll show you quickly how this works. You have the touchscreen. You can select again that cocktail, make an order. You hear that sound, and this means that in the other screen where the kitchen display is, you can see that order and it's waiting here. You can mark it as preparing, ready to serve, and served, and then it disappears. That screen can be configured from the settings, and here you can select many of these settings, how you want it to behave. If you want to filter the items so you don't show all the items, for example, if that's the area where the bar is and you want to see only the drinks, you can group them, select the group that these items are from, or you can have them marked, the items, by some tag, and you can filter this screen. You can have many kitchen displays in different areas, and they will behave differently depending on the settings you have here. You can choose also the locations that you want to filter. If you have a shared database with multiple restaurants, you don't want to show the things that are ordered in the other restaurants, so you can again filter by the location. Here you can choose the names of those states, that statuses of the order, and you can exclude even some of them. You can have a custom setup and you can remove some of them, so some of them are not shown in that screen at all. And you can choose if they can be pressed as a button on that screen too. You can have multiple profiles here, so you can create a brand new one for another location and you can reuse them. So different screens have different setup. The order can have a different language. Sometimes you may have a chef that's not speaking the current language here, and it can be some guest, and you can choose another language from here. You can show a button for the item recipe, so chefs can look at the recipe and see how the item looks like and what should be inside the dish according to the recipe we have created. And also you can choose what to show, the order code, the name of the customer, the location, so on. If you want to show alerts after the order has been waiting for some time, so chefs can see that this order is already late and they should hurry up. And if you want to play the sound or not. You can configure everything here. I'll close it with escape, and you can finish that order. Goes here. These are the two main screens that you're going to use in a restaurant or a bar. Combination of them can be shown in different places, and you can just configure them as you like. Of course, in the touchscreen, you're not limited to these places where you can put buttons. You can add a group. For example, empty group or dynamic group is connected to a group of items directly. But if you select a group name, you can add, for example, drinks. You can name it as you like. And when you click on it, you have another space here that you can prefill. You can click here to go back to main. And here you can have also groups. So practically you have unlimited space for items to get in on the touch screen. And it's only up to you to decide what exactly you want and how do you want it to be displayed. So with this, these are, we were concluding the section for the restaurants, and this is the main part of it. Of course, there are many other configurations that you can dive in, like in the settings here, we have a whole page here with all the configurations for the touchscreen that can be customized, location, customers, and items, but I'll leave that to you so you can get in and configure your restaurant. As you can see, you can get started in just like 10 minutes and gradually add stuff and improve it over time. So you can get into business immediately and then move slowly and as fast as you want. Thank you all for listening and watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like the video if you liked it, and then press on the bell so you get notified when the next video comes. Thank you all.